Yes, yes, yes. Welcome back to the Cajun Libertarian Live. If you are just now joining, I am your host, the Cajun Libertarian, Noella Lynn, and we have a phenomenal show. I hope lined up right now, ready. The fastest growing libertarian podcast within our community, in the libertarian community, which is absolutely phenomenal. So tonight on the TCL Live, the gubernatorial Virginia race is heating up, and man gets murdered by the government because he shuffles deck, didn't cut his grass. Kaepernick is back with a Netflix special, while Australia continues to move in the absolute wrong direction. Plus, much more tonight on the Cajun Libertarian Live. Coming up next. Yes, right back at it. Checking comments real quick as they are already fire, as they always are, right? I mean, your comments are just remarkable. We got good evening from Joe Vasquez. Good evening, my friend. Sunny days, my wife, double hearts, always phenomenal. Big day for us in Virginians tomorrow, says David Welch. That is a fact. And Shelby says, I'll put that up there. On a new angle in the room. Yes, I do have a new angle. Thank you for noticing. Johnny Garrett says, cheers. Cheers to you, my friend. Cheers to all of you that are watching across the globe tonight, which is phenomenal. I mean, I just can't thank you enough for everything that y'all have done in promoting this show. Incredible. So, I did not write a section for just a thought, so I will give it to you right off the brain, right? There's a lot going on in this country right now. There's a lot of people that don't understand what we're going through. They don't understand the complexities of which this nation as a whole it is literally suffering through, right? I was trying to search for a different word there, but that's kind of the word right now, is that we are kind of as a whole, as a nation, suffering through this dynamic that is, for lack of a better word, COVID. That's not actually the problem, though, is it? And most of us know that. COVID isn't the issue here. It's authoritarianism. And it's been a battle for us for a long time. From both parties, Republican, Democrat. They both utilize Republicrats. They both utilize the authoritarian system that has been placed in front of them due to a vast variety of scare tactics. It's fear mongering, right? They both use the same system to put themselves into an advantageous position where they can gain power. And so we are we're staring down the pipe of something that is probably kind of unprecedented when it comes to what we're facing here over the next coming months, which is very problematic. I was listening to a radio program earlier today, and I heard emails from people that were upset. And that's really not a justifiable adjective, upset. The emails specifically were about people disowning their family members over not being vaccinated. And that's a real problem because families mean a lot in this country. Families mean a lot in every country. If you are disowning your family members over them not getting vaccinated, that's a problem. I don't have any of said family members in my not only household, but in my family. Even with Democrats that do watch my show and that are in my family. They may be weary of travel. They may be weary of certain aspects when it comes to this quote unquote pandemic. First of all, I would like to say we need to make sure that we're not calling this a pandemic. It is endemic. It's a forever situation. That's what happens with viruses. And so we are here with that situation. And as I won't repeat many of the emails or the responses for those emails because they were very rough. Very, very rough. I think it's important that we address these specific situations. It's a very touchy subject, right? Because there's a lot of family members, there's a lot of people in this country that are concerned with not only the pandemic part of it, which it is not pandemic, but also the crippling effect that it may have on the relationships that are our relationships, right? It's a tough one. It's tough. I get that people are scared. I fully understand that people are scared. I understand that full-heartedly. Wholeheartedly. But the facts aren't on the side of being scared. They're not. The math, the science doesn't add up. So if you're one of those people tonight listening to this program and you're scared and you're worried about your family members, about yourself due to the pandemic, endemic situation, then fret not because the math and these statistics are not in favor of anyone being in fear. And there's a lot of those statistics, and I've walked through a lot of those statistics, and I do it often. The reason being is because I want to say this right. This this situation that we're facing right now is 100% driven by fear. It's not actually driven by science, data, or statistics. It's not. The fear mongering is driven by a hunger that cannot be fed. That hunger is power. That is why we see the dictates and the authoritarianism coming from specifically right now in this era, the left. That's just a fact. And so I urge you today, if you are being driven by fear of not wanting to see your family or not wanting to have a relationship with your kids or with your parents, don't do that. Don't. Because that is not science based. That is not fact driven. What is fact driven? 99 point plus percentile of survivability rate. That's a fact. Even higher risk, higher chance of survivability rate plus that much more for children. Fact. They have about the same rate of getting struck by lightning, right? So fear drives tyranny, and they're using fear to drive their tyranny right now. I know I double stated there, but that has to be said. It has to be said. Because what we're facing is not mathematical or scientifically based. It's just not. This is the tyranny that is right in front of us. And they're using fear to push that tyranny. You can take it or leave it, but that's just a thought. Don't forget, you can catch me on Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, Spotify, basically anywhere. I launch everything on the podcast format from Anchor. So you can go to anchor.fm, Cajun Libertarian. Please follow Muddy Waters. All of that. It is a ton of fun, and you shouldn't miss out because we do the thing here, right? We do the thing that nobody else is wanting you to see. And that's one of them right there. Morgan Dow replying to somebody else, follow the money. Yes. And that's what we're looking at right here. Just follow the money. It is unbelievable. Unbelievable. Actually, actually, it is very believable if you actually follow the money and you follow the science and you follow what's actually happening right now. Then you understand wholeheartedly that this is just nonsense. What we're doing right now, what's happening in New York City, incredible. What's happening everywhere, unless you're in like a deep red state like I am. Incredible. Just incredible. So yeah, well, yep, love it. Kareem. Seafood caucus time. Cajun, what's up? What's up, bro? Morgan, it's scare tactics. That's right. Because fear is the number one driver of all that is tyranny. You cannot drive tyranny without fear. You have to have the fear element. That's just a fact. Just a fact. So follow me, Google Podcasts, Apple Podcasts, all that crap. I already said that. So now let's get to our headlines, and here we go. Real quick though, get pests. Don't get pests. Please prevent yourself from getting pests. You can do all of the above, specifically speaking to getting rid of pests by calling me, which is a very easy option because there's the number, right? And there's me. 1-800-417-6 6013. Insectum Pest Management. Give me a call. So let's find out what's going on in the gubernatorial race in Virginia. Virginia's former Democratic Governor Terry McAuliffe will face off against Republican gubernatorial candidate Glenn Youngkin on Tuesday, which is tomorrow. We will find out the results, I assume, either tomorrow evening or Wednesday morning. This is a let me say this real quick. All of the segments that I have tonight are very short, right? There's a reason for that because uh, studies show, not just studies, but everything shows 1 hour, about 20 to 25 minutes. You, you tend to lose people after that. But more importantly, this kind of information comes packed in such a small packet because it needs to be. It needs to be. That's a great comment from Don Mar something. Pinata. Buy more guns and ammo. Anyway, yes, I will say that. Virginia's former Democratic Governor Terry McAuliffe will face off against the Republican gubernatorial candidate Glenn Youngkin on Tuesday, which is tomorrow. Tomorrow's the election. And analysts expect on an extremely close contest. Wow. I copy pasted most of this and they just jacked it all up. And now they're messing me up. That's fine. We'll figure it out. The results of which may not be clear on election night. Sounds familiar. But that's how it goes. So, but the biggest names in polling have analyzed the race and have found the momentum appears to be with Youngkin. Youngkin is the Republican candidate running for governor in Virginia right now. That's a big deal because there's a lot of info coming out of Virginia right now, and Virginia is a bellwether state. This is very, very, very important. Here's the very frustrating part. We don't have, to my knowledge, my wife and I looked it up, can't find it. There's no libertarian running for governor in the state of Virginia right now. Why? Why? But since there is not, and this is the double-headed race, as Andrea puts it, the Republican will win. We'll see. Probably. And he should, really, realistically. We'll get into that. Kareem, question, Cajun, between R and D, does it really matter? R's don't really seem to care much. Just different messaging. Yeah, you're right. You're right. But it does matter in the idea that it can send a message to the authoritarian left right now. That's a great comment. And I thank you for that. And my response to that is yes, 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 yes. Because right now, in this world we live in, the authoritarian left is the one driving the tyranny. It isn't the Republicans. They're dumb at best. They're not just dumb, they're complicit. But a lot of them aren't complicit in the rest of what's going on. And that's a big factor, especially when it comes to a gubernatorial race like we're seeing in Virginia. So, a Fox News poll released Thursday, and there's a lot of polls, y'all. Don't get hung up on the Fox News part. There's a lot of polls. They're all coming out. And it's right now as we stand, there's a landslide advantage for the Republican candidate, Youngkin. We don't have a libertarian candidate in Virginia right now. Why? Why? You know the impact we can make in Virginia right now against these two? But I urge you, if you are in Virginia right now, please, God, don't vote for McCullough. If you're going to go vote for Youngkin, the Republican. Yes, I'm advocating for a Republican. Oh my God, everybody, shut the show down. Cajun Libertarian is going to advocate for a Republican. Yes, I am. Why? Because he is the one that's going to advocate for school choice. He already has. Not necessarily school choice, but at least he isn't the guy saying that we can't have parents deciding. Parents deciding who is going to have choice over school curriculum. Yeah, Andrea says you're going to get in trouble. Oh, I imagine so. I don't care anymore. I'm tired. I'm tired of caring about who's going to be favorable to me and my uh, constructs. I guess that's not it, but you know what I'm saying. I'm done with this. At some point, we have to take a stand against the absolute authoritarian Marxist left that is controlling the democratic regime. If that means that you have to vote a Republican because there's no libertarian running for office in Virginia, there isn't. That's on us. That's on us. There's no libertarian running for Virginia uh, gubernatorial race, to my knowledge. Correct me if I'm wrong. But if you're going to figure out somebody to pick between the authoritarian and the one that's going to allow the children's parents to pick their curriculum. This dude said it out loud. I was not expecting to rant about any of this. But the fact remains is that the Democrat that's running for governor in Virginia has openly said he does not want parents having a say in the school curriculum. Incredible. Incredible. So there's no choice there. There, absolutely no choice for me in my mind. You killed it with the fact that he has openly said within the past 48 hours he wants to have all vaccinated teachers. They all have to be vaccinated. All of the kids have to be masked up. All of the measures put in place that we know are antithetical to all science. And then you have the other guy who's saying, no, we're not going to do that. Parents should have a say in what is going on in the schools. It's an easy pick of the lesser of two evils. Number one, mainly because there's no libertarian that stepped up and decided to run for office. We could put a libertarian out front. We could promote a libertarian and put them out there. Given that they stand for all the things that we stand for, but there isn't. There is not. So you have a milquetoast Republican who's just barely hanging on to being anti-authoritarian, or you have an asshole that's a complete dictator and absolutely shits on every parent in Virginia that cares about their child and what they're being taught. It's an easy decision. Sorry. Not sorry. Not, I'm not. No, there's no comparison. At this point, we used to love to thrive on the fact that we could criticize Republicans and Democrats equally and figure out what's actually going on between the two. But we face a situation today that it's either basically what's going on. You're either a Marxist, communist, anti-liberty, anti-free speech, anti-gun, or you're milk toast and you're barely in support of all the things that we support. And if you're not going to run a libertarian in Virginia, then guess what? You should probably vote Republican in this specific particular race. And that just is what it is, because I would rather take milk toast, lesser of two evils, than that nonsense. This is remarkable what's happening to our country right now. But I would rather 100% a libertarian run for governor who would actually appreciate the First Amendment, actually appreciate the Second Amendment, actually enforce the libertarian values and the liberty and the constitutional freedoms that were set in place. That's what I want. But we don't have that in Virginia right now. So, if you're in Virginia, you have a decision to make. For sure. A big decision. Because we don't have a libertarian candidate running for governor. Hopefully, at all costs, McAuliffe is out. Out. Even if that means that Youngkin is in, I'm all right with that. Because what we're seeing from the left right now is complete and utter destruction and authoritarianism. And I'm not okay with that at all. What I am okay with is Fierce Luxury by Ashley. That's Fierce Luxury by Ashley.com. Go check her out. Fierce Luxury by Ashley. High-end bags and accessories. Fierce Luxury by Ashley. That's Fierce Luxury by Ashley.com is a high-end bag and accessories consignment store based online. Consign with them for a 30% fee, 20% less than most consignment stores that carry high-end bags and accessories. Fierce Luxury by Ashley.com or go to their group, Fierce Luxury by Ashley. Now, moving on to more authoritarianism, but is actually kind of like what comes from the right. But I have a feeling that a lot of what's happening right now in this country, they're going to want to stand up to this. City's attempt to cut Texas man's grass leads to a standoff, a fire, and his death, police say. So, without government, why would we not be able to shuffle stick? Murder a man for not cutting his grass. City's attempt to cut Texas man's grass leads to a standoff, a fire, and his death, police say. A police SWAT officer shot the man after he exited the home with weapons in his hand, according to the police in Austin. In an attempt by Austin, Texas officials to serve a search warrant and provide lawn care resulted in shots fired, an hours-long standoff, a house fire, and a death, police said on Wednesday. Police officers and code enforcement officers arrived at a home at 9:16 to serve a nuisance warrant. Okay, let's keep going. But could not make contact with the resident. Austin Police Chief Joseph Cajun said at an evening news conference the warrant was left at the door, and contractors for the city's code enforcement began working on the lawn. About an hour later, the resident started shooting from inside the house, the police chief said. This is incredible. It is just no different from the fact that what we have here is a classic case of city officials, police officers having absolutely no regard. No, I'm sorry. Let me replace that. Absolute 100% disregard for constitutional freedoms. Why the hell is the police? And there's not much left to the story other than very specific details. Why the hell is SWAT showing up to a house? Because the grass wasn't mowed. Can anybody answer that question? I don't know. Let's see. There's 3 comments. There's a lot more than 3, but it's 3 lately. I like that one, Andrew says. How about the police arresting a homeless vet and tasing his therapy dog in North Carolina? I heard about that. I'm going to have to probably dig into that one. I mean, this is incredible. That's a right. We live in a police state. Randy, in the words of Clint Eastwood, get off my lawn. South Jersey South Jersey Libertarian. Without government, who will set your house on fire and kill you for not cutting your grass? This is just a freaking great example of a victimless not crime. We have to stop calling it a victimless crime because it's not a crime. Right? So SWAT shows up to this guy's house because he didn't cut his grass. This is the HOA. By the way, if you don't know about HOAs, they're god awful. They're just unions, and it's despicable. Do not get involved with an HOA. If you can, by all means, escape that situation or never get into it. An HOA is just a union run by the state and by people that do this. I've had firsthand experience with it. It's disgusting. The warrant was left at the door for contractors, for the city's code enforcement. And they began working on the lawn. About an hour later, the resident started shooting from inside the house. Now, the article goes on to say they don't say whether or not for sure he set a fire, like he was the one that set the fire in the house, but there was a fire in the house. So, number one, let's recap. HOA and the residents of said neighborhood decided they were going to call the police because a guy's lawn wasn't cut the way they expected it to be cut. That's how this started. Now he's dead. Regardless of the actions following, don't let that information convolute the fact that number one, the man, it's his fucking grass. Look, what do you want? Stop worrying about what other people are doing with their property. This is ridiculous. So they call the HOA, who calls the police, who then in turn calls SWAT. And now the man is dead. It's remarkable. Remarkable. But then again, is it really? I mean, we hear these stories all the time, and they're not really that outlandish. Why? Because we have an authoritarian police state, and we have a populace within our American community who would rather rat on somebody for mowing their grass than just shut your mouth and live your life. My God. Speaking of somebody who should just shut their mouth and live their life, Colin Kaepernick. But before we get there, real quick, love debating online. Check out the video debate. It's a great app. It's super fast and upcoming vid debate, which was started by none other than Brian Lamar, who is the assistant. That's probably wrong. He is the Libertarian vice chair of Mississippi, and he started an app. Check it out. Love debating online. Check out video debate. Video debate ad. It is designed to give users the ability to give their God-given right of free speech to post up to 3-minute videos of the day each day. Every day, a video debate will post a question in the hopes to draw strong opinions from all sides of a range of topics from pop culture to politics. So check out vid debate. Very fun. Very, very fun. Now, Colin Kaepernick is back in the news. Incredible. Incredible. This guy just stays in the news. Why? Because it makes him money. His activism is irrelevant because his actions actually prove his intention for his quote unquote activism, because he doesn't really care about being an activist. Let's talk about why. I've talked about I'm a huge, if you don't know, I'm a huge sports advocate. I love sports. My wife and I, well, I forced her into it, but I watch every LSU football game. And I love the LSU band. I grew up at LSU baseball stadium, at the LSU baseball stadium, Alex Box. I've been to the College World Series twice. I've been to countless LSU football games, countless Saints games. Right? And I played sports at a very high level, very high level. If you don't hear anything I ever say, please hear this. Colin Kaepernick is a disgusting joke of a human being. He does not care one bit about whatever activism that people think that he actually cares about. That is not on his agenda. He is I want to say this right, and I'm not gonna. He's horrible. We'll say it like that, okay? Let's find out, right? Let's check it out. Colin Kaepernick compares the NFL's draft process to slave auction in his new Netflix special. Wait, I thought 2 weeks ago on an interview with Ebony, he said that he was still working towards a job in the NFL. So why would he continue to get up at 5 a.m. every morning and practice and train to bring another Super Bowl, another team to the Super Bowl, if the NFL is just slavery? Easy answer. All of you already got it. He doesn't. He doesn't. This is just lies. It's just propaganda. It's just disgusting lies. Because he's a trash bag human being and even worse of a quarterback. He is god awful. I'll get into that in a minute. Let me finish this 5 sentence article that I put together here. Colin Kaepernick compares the NFL's draft process to a slave auction in the new Netflix special, with black athletes in shackles and their white owners whipping them. This is real. What they don't want you to understand is what's being established is a power dynamic, quote unquote, by Colin Kaepernick. Says Kaepernick, a former quarterback for the San Francisco 49ers, who got benched for Blaine Gabbert, is equally as awful. But that's how bad of a quarterback Colin Kaepernick is. Before they put you on the field, teams poke, prod, and examine you, searching for any defect that might affect your performance. No boundary respect, no dignity left intact. If a single person, you know what? I'll say it like this. There is not a single person that follows sports and believes this garbage. This is absolute garbage. Yes, they're going to do that because you're walking onto one of the highest professionally played and paid sports there is on the planet. This isn't obscure. This is very natural. This is what they do. And the color of your skin doesn't matter. Not one bit. Not at all. It doesn't matter. They're going to do this to every single player that walks into the NFL combine that you, sir, Colin Kaepernick, were invited to, and you chose to be there. So, no, it's not like slavery. You chose to be there. My God. The fact that we have to go over this is utterly obscure. It makes no sense. Not 1 ounce of sense whatsoever. This guy literally in a Netflix documentary compared the NFL Combine, which you're invited to and you voluntarily attend, to slavery. The fuck is wrong with him? Number one, I'll tell you, sorry for cursing there. I've been on Colin since way before he ever took a knee. Way before ever that. Because he's a disgustingly trash quarterback. His stats prove that. The only reason he won a championship was because he had one of the best modern defenses in the NFL, and he didn't toss more interceptions than touchdowns. That's a fact. That's a fact. He doesn't deserve to be a starting quarterback because he sucks at his job. And I'm sick of talking about this. I'm tired of Colin Kaepernick, who is literally exploiting actual racism and actual things that we can be fighting against the militarized police state for his monetary gain, which he deserves zero of. Zero. Not $1 does he deserve from any of this. But he is a pawn. And he is a spokesperson for people that are too stupid to understand how football works and actually thinks he cares about activism. He doesn't. This is incredible. My 5-year-old can read a defense better than him. He was benched for Blaine Gabbert. And Blaine Gabbert is just as bad as he is. But that's how desperate the 49ers were because that's how bad Colin Kaepernick is. He can train all he wants, but he's mildly retarded on the football field and cannot read a defense. He does not deserve a starting quarterback position because he's stupid. And it's obvious why. Before they put you on the field, teams poke, prod, and examine you, searching for any defect that might affect your performance. No boundary respect, no dignity respect. Yeah, dumbass. They do that with everyone. Your color has no precedent there. And we all know this. Every person that follows sports knows this. It's called the combine, and you agreed to go there. You're talking about some of the top athletes in the world. Yes, they're going to do this because they're in the business of making money. You moron. He's not the moron, though. The morons are the people that believe anything that this ridiculous dumbass decides that he's going to spew across any social media platform, press conference, or the like. Those are the real morons. And I apologize if I've offended you through this segment, through several words, but I am done with this. This guy is ridiculously stupid and has absolutely no position being in a starting quarterback at the NFL level because he is terrible. That's why you're not a starting quarterback. It has nothing to do with anything else. Not the fact that you were half black and raised by white parents and grew up in a privileged situation. That has nothing to do with it. That's actually the only reason that you are where you are or were is because you were privileged and given access to the some of the best training available. This guy is just disgusting. Kaepernick created controversy in 2016 by kneeling during the national anthem at games to protest police violence and racism in the United States. He left the NFL that same year and has not been signed with the team since. Yeah, because you suck. You suck. That's why. You have no accuracy. I'll save you all this. I was supposed to say this earlier. If everybody understood and followed sports like 100%, if this was a sports broadcast, then I would give every stat imaginable, and every single person watching would fully understand that, oh, okay, my bad. Yeah, this guy is a ridiculous clown that has no business being a quarterback in the NFL. At best, excuse me, I'm sorry. At best, he would be a backup quarterback, which he was actually offered. Turn it down. Why? Because he doesn't want to do that. He doesn't actually want to play in the NFL. He knows just as well as I do, and as well as every NFL prospect and pontificator understands that he's a terrible quarterback. He's god awful. This has nothing to do with his activism. He's just a shit quarterback. Period. Anyway, that's a long rant. And I am surprised y'all are still with me because holy moly. My God. This has been one of my soapboxes way years before I ever got into politics. years before I got into politics. Because I understood from day one. I knew from the gate he was lucky enough to be on a team that was capable of winning a Super Bowl, and he just didn't throw too many interceptions to cost them the Super Bowl. And then he got benched for Blaine Gabbard, and then started his activism. That timeline is so important. So important. He's terrible. His activism means nothing because it's based on selfishness. I don't care what he has to say. I don't care how right his activism may be in some aspects. I don't care because he is a liar and he is selfish, a narcissistic, disgusting human being for even trying to put it out there that he was trying to be against the police. He didn't care about that, not one bit, till he got benched for this terrible quarterback that was basically worse than he is. But that's what happens. Anyway, the Biden administration is hopeful new fines imposed on carriers at the nation's busiest port complex will abate the intensifying logjam of cargo ships. I've talked about this at great end on this show. There is a massively serious concern when it comes to the global supply chain crisis. I'm going to keep talking about it because it is that important, and it's not fear mongering. Go to your shelves, right? There, I have another article on here that I'm not going to read, but they literally try to say that several news organizations, including Fox and Newsmax, and then social media influencers like myself, are using fake pictures from other countries that are our stores aren't actually empty. Our stores shelves aren't actually. Yes, they are. Yeah, the pictures that I showed on this program, 100% from my freaking store, multiple stores, and they're fact checking people. It's incredible. And so now, what the Biden administration is trying to do is enact fines on the cargo ships. Like, this is remarkable. How to make a problem worse 101. The Biden administration and the Democrats and the far left have literally caused the cargo ship backup because of mandates. This isn't in question, regardless of how many blue check leftist, liberal, libertarian Republicans want to put it out there. This is a fact. The reason that our global supply chain is backed up, the biggest reason, is because of COVID mandates. And now the Biden administration is wanting to make it even worse by fining the cargo ships. This is government 101. So this shouldn't really be a surprise to any of us, right? It's government 101. I'm going to make the situation worse than it should be, and then I'm going to double down on making it more worse. The, in accordance with these deadlines, carriers will be charged $100 for each lingering container per day starting November 1st, which is today. Incredible. So every container that they keep out at bay, they're going to charge $100 per container per day. This comment. Morgan Dow. Sorry, I've not been checking comments, y'all. I'm ranting a lot. I just started my monthly or 3 monthly exterior treatments on all of my properties today. So it's going to be a rough month for me. I apologize. I'm going to be very tired and exhausted every time that I come on to the next 30 days because it's not easy what I have to do every 3 months. But that's a fantastic comment. The Twin Ports of Los Angeles and Long Beach announced Monday that containers moved by trucks will have 9 days, 9, before fines start occurring in containers scheduled to move by mail. Or I'm sorry, by rail. Will have 3 days. In accordance with these deadlines, carriers will be charged $100 for each lingering container per day, starting November 1st. I don't know what to say here. That hasn't been said. I really don't. I don't. And then the arrogance coming out of the White House over this stuff is just beyond explicable. I mean, it just really is. I don't. I don't know the end result here. I don't know how to resolve this. I do actually. I'm sorry. I know 100% how to resolve this situation, and I know how to resolve it within the next 7 days. Mass non-compliance. If you're a truck driver, if you're a ship owner, if you're containing any sort of market value merchandise that needs to be distributed to the public, mass non-compliance. 7 days. That's how we get out of this. Every single person needs to say, get effed, get effed. I'm going to do what I want because my job and the people that my job depends on is required for me to tell you to get your packed. So get bent, get effed. I'm doing what I want to do. That's for the best of the country. That's really the only answer. Other than that, we're in a bad spot. I'm not a fear porn monger. I'm not. But the writing's on the wall, y'all. For real. I mean, we've got hundreds of ships. Doc, I've talked about this at great length, but it needs to be repeated. Why? Because you have people like Jen Psaki, White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki, told reporters Tuesday that the administration continues to press on ways to address issues in the supply chain, adding that Biden plans to discuss global commerce disruptions with leaders at the G20 meeting this weekend, which he's at right now, and then he can't even hold a sentence. What the hell does that have to do with a global supply chain? Please tell the global warming is what they're there for. Global warming. Which, by the way, if you don't have a short memory, you fully understand that global warming has been completely debunked. 100%. So they changed it to climate change. Same thing. Same thing. It's a joke. It's all authoritarianism. It's all a way to rain down more absolute control, this time on a global scale. Thousands. Oh no, I don't want to. I don't want to read that. Sorry, my bad. That was a mistake on my part. We're not going to talk about that yet, but I will give because we're at an hour now, and I'm trying to be responsible and not just rant like a ridiculous human being, especially after I spent about 6 hours today with a 40-pound liquid backpack on and in the sun and all that. So I will give you a sneak preview into Wednesday. I got to get back to it though. I apologize. Give me one more second. Australia. Australia's getting worse. And mark my words, as I've said it before, the liberal left is going to use Australia as an example of how great, and New Zealand as a great example of how we should treat COVID, which is dead. It's over with. This is done. There is no zero COVID. That's not possible. Number one, because if you know anything about a virus, it's a virus. It's endemic. People on this planet, for the rest of this planet's existence, will suffer. Not necessarily suffer, but will contract. That's the better word, sorry. Will contract coronavirus. They will. For the entirety of humans live on this planet. That's going to happen. 100% fact. For the rest of time. So, we'll dig into a little bit of Australia on Wednesday night. My Sunday special got cut short because my interviewee who's running for city council of New Orleans, and it's a big deal. Her power got cut off in the middle of a storm, so we'll try to reconnect with her and try to do better with it. If not, then I'll drop that episode very soon. I'm not doing any more live interviews because the solo show, especially when I'm not doing the jobs that I'm doing right now, are way more popular than anything that I've ever done. And so interviews will be specifically for a select few individuals running for office, celebrities, so forth and so on. And that will be pre-recorded. Anyway, I say all that to say that I forgot to drop it last night. Not really forgot. I did forget, but didn't really want to drop it because the interview got cut short because of a storm and power got knocked out. Steve South, Kaepernick took too much energy, waste of calories. Man, look, I am so. Before I ever got into politics, I was on Kaepernick, like beyond anything that most people will realize. It's incredible. I saw it from the jump. Well, the reason being is because I'm a huge sports fanatic and I've studied sports. I've played sports at a high level. And I understand sports and I understand the recruitment process. I understand the evaluation process because I've been through it. Colin Kaepernick was never a good quarterback, ever. He got lucky for a couple of seasons where he didn't have as terrible as stats as he had otherwise. But the liberal leftist agenda, which is a cancer, and I'm tired of trying to play nice to every side. I'm not doing it anymore. This wokeism, this leftism, this liberal leftist ideology is a cancer. And it is 100%. And if you're a sane human being, you know this because it is driven by one narrative and one alone, and that is division. That makes it a cancer and a disease that needs to be peacefully cut out of our society in America. 2021 wokeism, leftism, liberal. It's not even liberal. They're not liberal. They're just Marxists. This is nothing about them that's liberal. We're classically liberal, meaning go do what you want to do so long as it doesn't affect everyone else. Don't hurt people, don't take their stuff. This is not that anymore. We have entered a new stage of what the left is calling liberalism, and it's a cancer. 1000%. And I'm tired of libertarians trying to be too libertarian and cover up the fact that we have an actual disease ruining our country and we're not trying to address it. We have to address it because Republicans are a joke. We have to be the ones that kill this and peacefully cut this out of our society. That's on us. 100%. And if you disagree, fine. Don't watch the show. Don't care. Unfollow me. I'm tired of this. I'm tired of it. It's an absolute disease. It's an absolute cancer. And I will do everything that I can to eradicate this cancer, this disease, this malignant tumor out of our movement first and out of our society also first. This country will not survive. Our liberties will not survive. Our First and Second Amendment, plus every other amendment, but First and Second are the most important. That's why they're First and Second. They will not survive so long as we allow this woke cancel culture, leftism, progressivism to continue. It won't, because we'll all get canceled if we allow it to continue. Was not expecting to go there, but it is a 100% fact. If you care about your guns, if you care about your First Amendment free speech, then this is the fight that's in front of us. And these tyrants, these authoritarian leftists, are using COVID to enact it. Take or leave it. That's just a thought. I'll see you Wednesday night, same Cajun time, same Cajun channel. I love you very much. I'm out.